What's up, guys? Magicalibra here today, and we are back with card rulings with Dr. Dragoon. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing Dr. Dragoon, so you know. Anyway, so my card rulings are kind of like in the past, so I'm just gonna pick them back up because it's just a good time to do them now. So why not? So with Dr. Dragoon, we have some card rulings. What's the card ruling for today, Dr. Dragoon? Costs. Okay, cost. Here we go. So we're gonna find some costs in here. Let's start off with infinite impermanence. Let's start off with Upstart Goblin, and let's start off with Magician's Souls is a good one. Alright. Let's see if we can find any. That's Spell Trap and Monster. Ha! That's great. Didn't even plan that out. Let's start off with Protoplant is a good one. Very controversial. Alright. Narito is another type of extra deck. And another cost would be of course, Dragoon here. But I believe we already went over Dragoon, so we don't need to go over him again. If y'all still want me to go over him again, check out the first video for my card rulings. It's in, I have a whatchamacallit for all my video types. They're all separated into different categories. So, go check out my card rulings segment in my playlists, is what it's called. And let's check out Protoplant Dragostapelia. Alright, Dr. Dragoon, do your thing. Alright, so we're going to start off with trap cards. So most cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Have a cost. Alright, not all of them do. Some of them do not have a cost. What is a cost, you might ask? A cost is part of the card effect that you must do first before you resolve the rest of the card effect. So what do I mean by that? It means when you activate your card, not if you activate it, but when you activate it, usually there is a cost. The cost, like I said, you must do it first before you do the rest of the card effect. How do you determine what's a cost? You look for a semicolon. Whatever the sentence is, and then a semicolon, that's the cost. Everything else past that is the effect. So, Infinite Permanence says, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, semicolon. That is the cost to activate the card. So you must target one face-up monster your opponent controls first. Your opponent cannot negate that. They can play cards to prevent you from even being able to activate it, but there is no card in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That can negate a cost. So make sure to remember that. So you must first target the face-up monster your opponent controls, then do the rest of the effect, which is the effect of the card, not the cost, because the cost is not technically considered an effect of a card, it's the cost of a card, so it's not part of the effect. The effect of the card is negate its effects until the end of this turn. Then, if this card was set before activation, which is, before you activated it, and this card is on the field at the resolution of this activation, for the rest of this turn, all other spell and trap effects in this card's column is negated, or are negated. And then it has the extra effect, because this is a hand trap. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So you just go, oh, hey, this is my hand now, Activate Imperm on your turn, because it's a trap. I can activate a trap. So that's kind of cool. So that's Infinite Permanence, his cost. Alright? Next, we'll start off with Upstart Goblin. Very, very simple cost. The cost to activate this card is No cost. Would you look at that? No, there's no cost. Why is there no cost? Because there's no semicolon. The effect of the card states draw one card, comma, then your opponent gains 1,000 life points. Now, why did I say comma? Well, not only am I like a grammar fanatic about English and everything, but that's also very important when it comes to reading cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! You have to understand how the cards work, so you need to be able to read. So, the reason it says draw one card is you do that, and then you can do the rest of the effect. But here's the deal. You cannot give your opponent 1,000 life points if you're not able to draw a card. Meaning you won't even be able to activate Upstart Goblin if you don't have cards in your deck. Or if there is a card like Drolling Lockbird activating its effect on the field. Meaning you're not allowed to add cards from your deck anymore. So you can't draw. So no Upstart. So now if there is a card effect on the field that says your opponent cannot gain life points, that's fine. You can still activate Upstart Goblin, and it says then your opponent gains 1,000 life points. You're still able to activate the card to draw a card, but if your opponent cannot gain life points for some reason, some sort of card effect, that's fine. They won't gain the 1,000. You'll just get to draw a card. So that's how that works. But this card has no cost because there's no semicolon in it. That's the main identification. Not really the right word to say, but it works. The main indicator is the word I'm trying to think of for how you determine if there is a cost. Next, for the monsters, this is a very, very complicated card if you don't know how to read. So, Magician Souls states, very shiny, you can send up to 2 spells/traps from your hand and or field to the graveyard, semicolon. That is a cost to do so. Why do I point out that? I mean, yeah, I'm going to point out the cost, but why do I point out that specific cost? Because let's say, do I have it somewhere in here? Do I have it placed elsewhere? Let's say, for example, it's in here somewhere. I know it's in here. Let's say, for example, you've got Skill Drain and Mystic Mine on the field. If you don't know what these cards are, look them up. They are very broken. All right? Skill Drain negates the effect, not the cost or activation of effects, just the effects of all monsters on the field. Mystic Mine says if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, they cannot activate effects or attack you at all. And same thing for you. If you control more monsters, the same thing applies to you, meaning that they can attack and activate, but you can't. So it's a double-edged sword. So very broken. You've got these on the field with no monsters, but you need to draw 2 cards. So you activate Magician Souls because it says you can send up to 2 spells and traps from your hand or field to the grave as a cost. This card first needs to get on the field. So what Magician Souls states is if this card is in your hand, which it is, you can send 1 level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the grave, then activate one of these effects as cost. So you activate the effect, you send Dark Magician Girl, it's a level 6, then you activate the effect, you declare you're going to special summon this card from your hand, then you resolve the effect, you special summon it from your hand, then you activate the effect on field, which is that first effect I read to you earlier. You can send up to 2 spells and traps from your hand and or field to the grave as cost. Draw that many cards. Well, here's the deal. You're probably saying, well, you just said Skill Drain negates monster effects on the field. Yes, it negates the effects of the monster on the field. Right now, his effects are negated. This says that either you or I cannot activate monster effects depending on how many opponents' monsters they have. So if they have more monsters than me, I can still activate Magician Souls. If I'm the only one with a monster, I can't activate Magician Souls at all. So, how this works is, because, say, he has 2 monsters, I have 1, I activate Magician Souls, but you're like, you can't, it's negated. The effect will be negated once it resolves. When it resolves, it'll be negated, because skill drain's on the field. So you'll activate Magician Souls. Remember, its cost is to send up to 2 spells or traps from the field or your hand to the grave. That's the cost. You cannot negate a cost. You must first pay the cost. Sending Skill Drain and Mystic Mind to the grave. Now Skill Drain's no longer in the field. It can now resolve. Now you can draw 2 cards. So that's a really interesting card to play around with when it comes to costs. Every time I do that, people that don't know what Dark Magician is, they're like, wait, what? You can do that? What? You know? They're just freaking out like, hey, that's cheating. But nope, it is the cost of the card. Alright. Next up, we will go over, we'll save Predaplant for last. We'll go over into Dragostapelia, Fusion, Xyz, and then Link. Predaplant Dragostapelia. What does Predaplant Dragostapelia do? It is a negate when it gets on the field. So what happens is, once per turn, quick effect. The quick effect lets you know you can activate it on your opponent's turn as well. But once per turn, meaning your turn, quick effect, also your opponent's turn, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, semicolon. That's the cost. You got to target it. After you target it, the effect resolves. Place 1 predator counter on it, and if its level is 2 or higher, it becomes level 1 as long as it has a predator counter. Okay, cool. The other effect is a continuous effect that says negate the activated effects of your opponent's monsters that have predator counters. So, the way you want to resolve this card is, say, for example, what's a good card you want to negate that you can target? Your opponent activates Destiny Hero, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. I don't believe it has a cost, so once it activates, you chain link to Dragostapelia, targeting DPE, which is Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. And then this will resolve if they don't chain to anything. And then this will resolve first. You put the Predator counter on it. Then DPE resolves its activated effect, which now it has a Predator counter on it. This is a continuous effect that says negate the activated effect. It's currently being activated. You put the Predator counter on it already. It's now going to try to resolve its activated. It'll be negated. DPE stays on the field. So that is a really cool way to, learn about costs. Next is a very simple cost. Narito, the moral leader. Da, 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 da. She's got morals. All right. So what moral leader says is once per turn, win. So because it says win, that also means you can do it on your opponent's turn, because it's not just one. Usually once per turn is just your turn. But if it states a clause like once per turn win, or if, or quick effect, or also during your opponent's turn, they usually let you know it can also be activated on your opponent's turn as well. So once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, quick effect, which also identifies, hey, it's also a quick effect. Feel free to know that. You can detach 1 material from this card, semicolon. Detaching the material under it is the cost. You got to do that first, then resolve the effect. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. You're negating the activation of the spell or trap card, and you're destroying it. So that is how that works. This is the one everyone was like, what? That's not how that works. All right. So Predaplant Verte Anaconda has 2 costs, actually. Most people forget that it has another effect to target a monster on the field and make it dark. So that is something people were forgetting about, and is very useful. So you summon Predaplant Vert Anaconda. Its effect states you can target one face-up monster on the field, semicolon. That's the cost. Do it first, then do the effect. The effect is it becomes dark until the end of this turn. Period. That's it. All right? The other effect is you can pay 2,000 life points and send one fusion or polymerization, normal or quick play spell from your deck to the grave, semicolon. So the cost is to pay 2,000 life points, which is not considered taking effect damage at all, and sending the fusion or quick play spell from the deck to the grave. That is also the cost that cannot be negated. So people were like, I can ash that. No, you cannot negate a cost. You can negate an effect with ash, but the cost is not an effect. It's a cost. So even though it's part of the effect of the card, it's not considered an effect. It's a cost. So that's why you can't negate it with ash, because Ash Blossom negates an effect that sends from deck to grave, not a cost. So you send it from deck to grave as cost. Then if they don't have cards to negate the effect of the monster, like Infinite Impermanence or Effect Veiler or something else, you do Predaplant and you resolve it, which is this effect becomes that spell's effect when that card is activated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, period. You can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. So, you copy the effect of the card, and you apply it as if it was being activated already. Now, here's the thing. How Predaplant works. It's super complicated to explain to you. If you want a quick understanding, Predaplant copies the very first sentence text of the card. It copies the effect of the card, not the cost of the card, but just the effect of the card. So if you send Super Poly, it does not copy the the cost of the card where it says discard a card. It just copies the effect, which is to use monsters on either side of the field as fusion materials to summon a monster. It does not copy the rest of the text on the card, which is your opponent cannot respond to this card with card effects, stuff like that. No, it just copies essentially the fusion effect, because most fusion / polymerization spell cards are usually the first effect are fusion summon this. So we say it just copies the fusion effect, but really it copies the very first effect on the card when it's activated. So that's how that works. All right, and that just about covers it with costs, guys. The cost is identified by a semicolon. If there's no semicolon, there's no cost to the card. You just, like, for example, a good card to activate without a cost would be a Spellbook of Knowledge, if I can find it. There you go. Spellbook of Knowledge is basically Pot of Greed. What happens is it says to send to the grave either a spellcaster monster you control or one other spellbook card from your hand or face up from your field except Spellbook of Knowledge, and if you do, draw 2 cards. There's not a single semicolon in the entire text, so there is no cost to the card. You simply activate it, and what the effect of the card is you send from hand or field to grave, and you add cards from your deck to your hand. So if you have cards to negate those types of effects, you do it now. Or if you don't, I send and draw 2. And that's how that works. So that's a pretty interesting card to play as well. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for costs. So thanks for watching all the way to the end with our Dr. Dragoon. And for the announcements, let's say, I do have a new Discord channel. It's called the Deck Builders Incorporated group on Discord. So if you guys want to join that, currently there are no rules at all for the group. So, have fun with that. There's a link down in the description for that. Go click on it down below and join the group. I'm sure it'll be lots of fun to talk about decks and how to build them. And, you know, if there's decks and stuff that isn't available to talk about, like in a certain group, I can create the group for you. Just message me personally. Also, if you need to message me or call me out, just go at Magicalibra. I'll receive the notification. Also, if you guys want to join Team DMA, which stands for Team Dark Magic Attack, we have a Discord group chat for specifically that. But now it's more along the lines of we're just going to the Deck Builders Incorporated. So the Team DMA is kind of fallen to the side. But if you guys want to join in that as well, there's a link down in the description for that as well. So make sure to go join that. But anyways, without further ado, guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and don't forget to sub. Just kidding.